It is 6:40, and I'm Michael Cohen. This is 1320 WILS. The IRS calling it the biggest phone scam they have ever seen. $1 million stolen from thousands of taxpayers. To find out what you should be on the lookout for, we're joined by Joe Mastriano. He is a CPA and IRS problem specialist. And online, it's taxproblem.org is his website. Joe, thank you for joining us.
Oh, I'm glad to be here.
So when do you typically do your own taxes, Joe?
Well, most people shouldn't do their own taxes, but I understand what's going on now, and more people will do their own taxes.
Right. No, I'm curious, though, you do your own taxes, don't you?
Well, of course I do.
Uh-huh. Do you typically do them right away, or do you wait? At what point do you usually get them done?
Oh, okay. No, my clients come to me because they don't want to be audited, and I don't want to be audited either, so I follow my 4-part program not to be audited. I file an extension, and I file it right before October 15th, like October 12th, after they picked all the returns mostly for audit. In the beginning of September, they have your wage and income transcript available. So you don't want to file before then anyway. You want to know what the IRS has on you. So I call up we go on our own computer, but I get from the IRS records, make sure they put my W-2 in there correctly, the 1099s my clients filed on me, and any K-1s, and I make sure every single number is put on my return separately, because if it's not, they're going to audit me for the matching program. And then when I do that, the very last thing, and my return personally is very simple, so there's not much documentation to do, I write them little notes. Hey, I understand the law. I understand the code. If you don't like this item, I'm prepared to defend it.
What do you mean? And, do you put it on a sticky pad, or how do you include it in there?
Well, I put it on the statement. You attack the programs have, if you want, every line on the return, you can always right-click and attach a statement to discuss that item that's on the return.
So you write you basically put comments along the way. Is that what it takes not to be audited?
That's exactly what it takes not to be audited. Those 4 things. Filing right before October 15th. I mean, you got to make sure the return makes sense. If I was a person who, had a wife and 5 kids, and put down I only made $15,000, they're going to question that. So we footnote on the return for our clients that have that situation, taxpayer borrowed money from family and friends to live on.
Tell me this, have you yourself ever been audited?
Yes, a long time ago, maybe 25, 30 years ago, when I first purchased some accounts from somebody, and I wrote all of the expense off at once, and I really should have taken it off over 2 years, so there was a timing adjustment. Cost me a little bit of interest. But other than that, everything was accepted by the IRS my whole life.
I'm talking to Joe Mastriano, a CPA, also an IRS specialist. Taxproblem.org is the website. So this phone scam, as people are calling these taxpayers and telling them, look, you got to pay right now via some kind of a prepaid debit card. What do you make of this major scam?
It's just an indication of the lack of knowledge people have about the IRS, and it's crazy because I seek to educate people very easily. In fact, on my website, if you Google Killer IRS, you'll get to taxproblem.org, and I explain these things. But basically, people should not listen to people when they call them up and say that. You will never be in a situation where suddenly they audited you, and by 5 o'clock that evening you're going to have to pay money.
Now, when somebody tell me this, when somebody calls you and says they're from the IRS, how do you know when they really are from the IRS, whether they're asking for money or not?
Okay, well, you shouldn't take that risk. You should say, well, give me your name and number. I need to verify it, and give me your number at the IRS. And tell me who your manager is. And you can Google that phone number and see if it matches up to IRS numbers. You can call and get the group secretary or the manager to verify it. And even then, no money is due immediately. Everybody has the right to an appeal, a collection appeal.
Let me ask you this: the idea of some IRS agent calling and aggressively talking to you, maybe even being somewhat threatening in some ways, is that something that actually happens?
It could happen. It wouldn't happen to someone that doesn't know it. You would know it. You'd be a guy who hasn't filed in 3 years, collected $500,000 in cash, have been called by 2 revenue officers before and told them, that it was unconstitutional and ran away. I mean, you would know. You'd have to be in a really bad category. And if you were, you could get a call that's not going to say you have to pay by 5 o'clock with a credit card, but they're going to say, I need money by tomorrow, or I'm going to levy every account I can find. Or I'll be over there with the DEA or the constable or something.
Really? They'll come at it that way, too. I mean, that sounds kind of scary also.
Well, yeah, there are people who don't file and pay their taxes.
Yeah.
There are a lot of criminals out there that think that they can hide behind some frivolous rule. Somebody finds out that, there's some law or something that they read that say that taxes are unconstitutional.
Won't the agents, though, just come knock on your door? Does that not really happen?
They'll do that also.
Mm-hmm.
They'll do that also.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of them are busy, and they can't drive around town, and they can call you up.
Right.
But again, you would know that, though. You would know you're not in that situation.
Yeah. If you're a law-abiding person, they're not going to just call you and suddenly start demanding money right away. Joe Mastriano, CPA, IRS specialist. Find him online at taxproblem.org. Joe, thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome.